Imam Hussein's caravan left Medina on 28th Rajab 68H and reached Mecca on the 4th of Sha'ban. Imam had not yet made up his mind on where to go. For the time being, he decided to stay in Mecca at least until the month of Zulhajj and perform the pilgrimage. The people of Kufa in Iraq heard of what had happened in Medina. Kufa was an important Shia center. The Shias there had long suffered under Muawiyah. They feared even greater sufferings under Yazid. They felt that slowly Islam would be totally destroyed by the greed for power and glory of these two men. They were anxious to preserve the teachings of the Holy Prophet. They needed an Imam who would teach the tafsir of the Holy Quran and relate to them the true sayings or hadiths of the Holy Prophet. They held a meeting in the house of Sulaiman ibn Surad and decided to write a letter to Imam Hussain inviting him. In this letter they wrote, "We invite you to come to Kufa as we have no Imam to guide us. Through you, Allah will unite us on the path of truth." A messenger took the letter to Mecca and gave it to Imam Hussain. A few days later, the people of Kufa sent an emissary, a special messenger to Imam to persuade him to go to Kufa. His name was Qais ibn Mushir as-Saydavi. There followed hundreds of other letters and many special emissaries from the people of Kufa to Imam Hussain. The governor in Kufa was a man called Nu'man ibn Bashir. Although he was a follower of Muawiyah and Yazid, he was not by nature a cruel man. The people of Kufa believed that Imam would be safe in Kufa. When Imam Hussain received so many petitions and messages from Kufa, he decided to send Hazrat Muslim to his emissary to Kufa to study the situation there and report to Imam. Imam would go only if there would be no danger to the people of Kufa or to Imam or any of his companions or family. He wrote a letter to the people of Kufa and gave it to Hazrat Muslim. In this letter, Imam said, "I am sending my cousin and one of the most trusted ones from my family, Muslim ibn Aqeel, to report to me about your affairs. If his report agrees with what you have written, I will soon be with you. You must be clear of the fact that the Imam is only one who follows the book of Allah and serves Allah in all matters and affairs, with justice, honesty, and truth." Who was Muslim ibn Aqeel? He was the son of Aqeel ibn Abu Talib. He was a famous warrior. He married Ruqayya bint Ali, Imam's sister, through another mother. We know of his 4 children: Abdullah, aged about 15 years, Muhammad, who was about 10 years old, Ibrahim, who was 8, and young Ruqayya, who was just 5 or 6. All these children had traveled with their parents and were in Mecca. As Hazrat Muslim was preparing for the journey, Imam Hussain went to him and said, "Muslim, the whole world knows that you are one of the bravest warriors. It is just possible that seeing you in Kufa, some people may think that our intention is to fight Yazid. Take your 2 sons, Muhammad and Ibrahim, with you. When they see you with such young children, they will know that our intentions are peaceful." Hazrat Muslim and his 2 sons said goodbye to all and left Mecca. Their journey through the desert in the heat of summer was very difficult. They arrived in Kufa towards the end of Zulqa'dah. They were received extremely well by the people of Kufa. Very soon, more than 8,000 people appeared before Hazrat Muslim and pledged their allegiance to Imam Hussain as their Imam. Hazrat Muslim reported to Imam Hussain that most of the people in Kufa were ready to receive him as their Imam and advised that Imam should proceed to Kufa. Amongst the people of Kufa, there were many spies employed by Yazid to report to him direct. When Yazid heard from them of the invitations to Imam Hussain and the arrival in Kufa of Hazrat Muslim, he was filled with fury. He sent a message to his governor in Basra, Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, to go to Kufa and take over the position of Nu'man ibn Bashir. Ibn Ziyad was also told to arrest Muslim and kill him, and do all that was necessary to suppress the Shi'as in Kufa. Ibn Ziyad was a cruel and unjust man. He arrived in Kufa on the evening of 2nd Zulhajj. On the following day, he went to the mosque and addressed the people of Kufa. He first announced his appointment as Yazid's governor. He then threatened anyone who was engaged in any activity against the government with immediate death, and ordered them to surrender Hazrat Muslim to him. Ibn Ziyad sealed Kufa in such a way that no one could go in or out of the city without the governor's permission. At this time, Hazrat Muslim was staying with Al-Mukhtar. At the invitation of Hani ibn Urwa, another leading member of the Shia community, he moved to Hani's house. This was done secretly, and except for a few people, no one knew where Hazrat Muslim was. Through a spy who pretended to be a Shia, Ibn Ziyad found out where Hazrat Muslim was. Hani was arrested and thrown into prison. Not wishing to endanger the lives of his friends, Hazrat Muslim and his two sons left Hani's house. He left the children with Qazi Shuraib, a judge, and went into the desert to try and get back to Imam Hussain to warn him not to go to Kufa. This was the 7th of Zulhajj. That whole day and the following day, Hazrat Muslim tried to get out of the city. He found all the exits sealed and guarded by Ibn Ziyad's soldiers. On the 8th, late in the evening, tired, hungry, and exhausted, Hazrat Muslim knocked at the door of a house on the outskirts of the city. A lady opened the door. Hazrat Muslim requested for a little water to quench his thirst. The lady gave him water. When she learned who he was, she invited him in and offered him shelter for the night. This lady was called Tawara. She gave Hazrat Muslim some food and water and took him to a room where he might spend the night. Late that night, Tawara's son came home. When he learned that the man Ibn Ziyad was looking for was in his mother's house, he felt that he would be rewarded by the governor if he got Hazrat Muslim arrested. Unknown to his mother, he slipped out in the darkness of the night and gave the information to a captain in Ibn Ziyad's army. Early the next morning, 500 soldiers surrounded the house of Tawara and demanded Hazrat Muslim's surrender. Hazrat Muslim came out holding a sword. 3 times he drove the enemy away. Twice Ibn Ziyad had to send in reinforcements. While Hazrat Muslim was fighting, some soldiers went up the rooftops and began throwing stones and light torches at him. Others dug a trench in the path of Hazrat Muslim and covered it with dross. Although badly wounded and totally exhausted, Hazrat Muslim kept on fighting. Then he fell into the trench. More than 50 soldiers pounced upon him and chained him. He was dragged to the court of Ibn Ziyad. Ibn Ziyad told Hazrat Muslim that he would be killed and asked him if he had any last wishes. Hazrat Muslim said, "I owe a debt which should be discharged by selling off my sword and armor. Secondly, I want my body to be given a proper burial. Thirdly, I want a message sent to Imam Hussain advising him not to come to Kufa." Ibn Ziyad agreed to the first request, but refused to do anything about the second and third requests. He then ordered Hazrat Muslim to be taken to the roof of the palace to be executed and his body thrown to the ground. Hazrat Muslim was calm and composed. As he was dragged up the steps, he was reciting Allahu Akbar until the last moment. Then there was an absolute silence, followed by thud as Hazrat Muslim's body fell to the ground. This was on 9th Zulhajj. Immediately after Hazrat Muslim was killed, Hani ibn Urwa was dragged to the rooftop and executed.